Boatbuilding News, the podcast. Let's do it. Welcome to Boatbuilding News, the podcast, a series of engaging interviews with key individuals from within the marine industry. I'm excited. This is going to be epic. Stephen Weatherley of Archipelago Expedition Yachts speaks to Boatbuilding News about his aim to break the mould by offering exceptionally engineered, bespoke blue water catamarans, an awesome emerging brand in British boatbuilding. Hi, Stephen. Welcome to the Boatbuilding News podcast.
Hi. Thank you very much for having me.
I know, I'm so excited. It was so weird because I saw quite a lot of news about you and Archipelago at the same time as you kind of got in touch about coming on to be as a guest. So I thought, wow, it was so good how everything sort of aligned. The stars aligned, Stephen.
Yeah. Serendipity. It's lovely. It's a good thing.
I know. Well, it sometimes works like that, doesn't it, I think?
Yeah. But someone always says, one of my friends always says, better to be lucky than good.
Oh my goodness, that's actually quite true. So let's go straight in. Give us a bit of introduction. Tell us about yourself and your business.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Stephen Weatherley. I run a company called WSW Marine, and we create the Archipelago Expedition Yacht range of long-distance explorer vessels, all built in aluminium, ranging from now 40 foot up to 80 foot. And I started the company back in 2021, so not that long ago now, actually. Our first vessel's the Archipelago 47, which we had built, and we had it in the Southampton Boat Show back in September of last year. That was our sort of main launch for the product.
Mm-hmm. So I remember that. Now, it was quite a talk of the show. It was a real talking point of the show. So, I mean, most people that I spoke to, it was part of the conversation. You know, they were like, "Have you seen it?" And you know, I hope that it's okay to say, but it was people either absolutely loved it or they hated it. It was a Marmite. I personally loved it, and I was lucky enough to be able to do a walkthrough of it, and I absolutely love it. I mean, I love catamarans anyway, and I love expedition yachts. So for me, it ticked every single box. But tell us about it.
Yeah, so I definitely get the whole love it or hate it, because it's different. It's a modern boat. So I guess the genesis of it came from the fact that I wanted to buy a new boat for my family, really. I've had boats in the family all my life. I've currently got a Mitchell 31 little crappy old fishing boat, which I love, and I used to own it with my dad, and we take it out loads for fishing and little family trips. But as my family gets older, I've got 4 young kids for my sins. Mm-hmm. And as they get older, I wanted something with a bit more room, a bit more ability to, I guess, take further afield and to lie at anchor and be nice and stable. And so I was drawn to the idea of a catamaran because it's nice and efficient, it's nice and stable, mm-hmm. And you get lots of space. But I couldn't really find anything I wanted in the marketplace. I've always been quite a fan of boats that blend a sort of robust commercial heritage with a leisure interior, hence the Mitchell that we've got at the moment. And there really wasn't anything out there that was suitable as a catamaran. There's lots of commercial craft and there's some leisure craft. A lot of the leisure craft are basically sailing yachts that have had the mast cut off and put 2 bigger engines in. And so I was drawn towards the idea of designing one myself. When I realised I then couldn't afford to actually design and build one myself, I thought, well, why not start a company? I was so excited by the designs that Chartwell Marine came up with that I thought, actually, this is a bit of a gap in the market and something that we could attack as a company. And so, quit my job, sold my house, did all sorts of silly things.
Wow.
And started.
Wait! You can't just say quit my job, sold my house, and just brush over it. You did what?
Yeah, well, it wasn't necessarily intentional to sell the house, but these things always cost more money than you expect. And so, it was a lot of. I mean, to get the company and the boat from being founded, raising some investment capital, through to being in the boat show in September last year, in the space of what was probably 18, 19 months. was
That's tight.
it was hard work, lots of sleepless nights, and lots of pain. I'm not sure I'd want to go through it again. But
Oh,
I
right.
was very proud of the finished product that we had at the boat show. I mean, as you'd have seen, it wasn't quite finished because the starboard hull we hadn't quite fitted out. But actually, that was a bit of a talking point at the show as well, because people loved it. We had some people turning up early in the morning saying, "Are you the unfinished boat? Can we come and have a look?" Because
Yeah.
people don't normally get to see behind the scenes of what's
No,
behind the panels
that's
of a
true.
boat. And actually, we're quite proud of what's behind our panels. Right, they're fantastically built boats, beautifully welded, strong aluminium construction. And so I'm perfectly happy to show the boat without its panels on. And so it was a cool thing to bring it to the show and to have those comments. I'd rather be Marmite than bland.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, Marmite, or you don't want to be vanilla, do you, or beige?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's brave. The amount of belief you must have had in your idea and what the finished product was going to be able to make those personal sacrifices is insane.
Yeah, I mean the boat. I love the boat. I had a lot of faith in the guys at Chartwell Marine to design us a fantastic boat. They've got an enormous heritage in the offshore wind industry, and their
Yeah.
boats are, being used day after day in the North Sea in whatever weathers, and it's a proven heritage that I wanted to draw from, because it was a boat that I would have loved to have bought if it was available at the time. I decided I had to have a bit of faith in my convictions and turn this
Yeah.
dream into reality. And I think it's been great. I think the boat performs fantastically out in the sea. It does exactly what we wanted it to. And we've had a lot of interest on the back of it. We've sold a couple of boats on the back of the boat show, and it's all going in the right direction. So from my perspective, it was definitely the right thing to do. Not for a stress-free existence, but certainly to do something different.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I started the company is, I'm not getting any younger. None of us are getting any younger, and you've got to do these things. Otherwise, you'll just regret not doing them, right?
100%. I'm exactly the same belief. But I guess, I suppose the confidence you had that you knew there was a gap in the market because you yourself was looking to purchase something that wasn't there. So you were
Yeah.
tried and tested. You were your own customer, I suppose. You were your own target audience, aren't you?
That's right. Yeah. And I think the big courage that you've got to have is that you're not so weird that no one else is going to be after the same thing, right? You have to have a bit of conviction that you're sort of semi-normal, or you occupy some semi-normal space in the marketplace, so that other people are going to follow you and want what you want. And there's the people who have gone forward and actually wanting to purchase either that boat or variants of it, are other boats in the range. As I thought, they are people who are quite like-minded. They're people who want something different. They want something that's going to go out in all weathers, keep their family safe, have the versatility of going long distance where they want to, but also go out for a quick trip, in the Solent or wherever. And blend that with something that's practical, family-friendly, comfortable, and all the rest of it. And people that are genuinely interested in wanting to. Sorry, say that again.
It's a head turner as well, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't just blend in,
That's right. And I hope that once it's seen out there in a bit more regularity, and I guess as we get towards the summer, we're going to be out in the Solent, showing the boat off where we can, and then when we've built a boat and we've got one in the Mediterranean, so our first customer's someone who's going to take it to Cyprus, they're going to be seen, they're going to be out and about, and I think that sort of people will notice and go, oh, that's cool, I like that, and that will help us and obviously the brand.
Yeah. So you sound like you're somebody that's always been around boats. Is that your background? Did you grow up in a family that was always on the water? How did it right back at the beginning? How did the interest start for you?
Yeah, I think my dad's always been a passionate boat owner. We've always had boats. Generally, we have pretty crappy little cabin cruisers, starting from a little 19-foot wooden thing when I was growing up, and then we bought an old Princess 25, which was built in something like 1977, and we had that for about 10 years or something. And then I, with a friend of mine, bought a sailing boat. We bought a Hunter Sonata and used that for about 5 or 6 years. And then we upgraded that to a Contessa 32, and we sailed that for many, many years, but still had a boat with my dad. And then my dad and I bought this Mitchell 31, which we used for 10 years or so. And then one of the other things, the sort of genesis behind it, was that unfortunately he passed away. And so that boat, I guess, lost a bit of sparkle for me. And I wanted to build something different, as I say, for my growing, not in number, hopefully, family, but growing in size. Family, and that's where it all came from. Yeah, but I've always been a passionate boat owner. I love being out on the water. It's just the way of escaping, the stresses of the world, and whether it's out in the winter fishing or out in the summer, I love it all.
Well, and that's the thing about the boats that, the Archipelago 47, it's not a fair weather boat, is it? It's not just for those, those sunny, days on the Solent. It's all year round. It's for somebody to, feel comfortable in whatever the weather.
That's right. And that's important to me personally. I always think it's a bit sad when people pack up their boats in October or whatever at the end of the season and then unpack them in May when the weather gets nicer. A beautiful winter's day out on the south coast of England, for example, the marinas are quiet, the marinas are cheaper. It can be absolutely magical. And many, many people miss out on that because their boats aren't really suitable for it. And I want to create something that can go out in anything, and the problem is with the winter, you can get beautiful days, but obviously you can get a bit caught out in a bit of a blow, or it can be a bit nasty, but you need to have that confidence that you're going to get home, no problem. It's not going to cause you any issue to be out in it. And that's really what we wanted to bring to the market.
So is it completely unique? Is anyone actually in the industry right now doing, offering an alternative that's, that your customers that are coming to you that are also considering, or are you completely on your own in your space offering a unique solution?
I wouldn't say we were totally unique, but we certainly pretty much out there on our own at the moment. There's a big move into this space. So if you take, I guess there's two spaces that we occupy, right? There's a sort of explorer expedition space, and then there's the catamaran, the motor catamaran market. Both of these are growing. The bigger end of the sort of expedition market, you've got people like Arxon, for example, who are building what look to be fantastic, big explorer boats, very similar to sort of FPB and other aluminium craft. And then in the sort of power cat area, you've got people who are, power cats are growing. I wouldn't say there are that many that I would call a sort of explorer power cat.
Well, this is what I was thinking. I see a lot of luxury catamarans. So, I mean, I was up in London the other week at the Moon 60 launch. A luxury catamaran. I don't know if I'd put it in the explorer space. It was all about luxury. So it is you're kind of merging the two, aren't you, and creating this sort of beautiful place in between them.
That's certainly the hope. Yeah.
So tell me, I mean, I already know the answer to this because I am so excited when I saw it on social media, but tell me about the T47 and how that all came about and what we can expect from it.
Yeah, I mean, we're really excited, both at Archipelago and at Twisted. So for those of you that don't know, Twisted have sort of two arms. They come from more of an automotive background. So Twisted Automotive take Land Rover Defenders, classic Land Rover Defenders, and basically strip them apart and rebuild them with high quality engineering, interiors, all the rest of it, and they look amazing. Who wouldn't want one, frankly? And then Twisted Marine, who are a bit newer, do a similar thing with a ribcraft rib and an axopar to, I guess, just take it and make it a bit sexier in all dimensions. And it was a natural, I think, a natural coming together, actually, because, you know, we've always described ourselves as a sort of new Land Rover Defender of the sea. You know, that blending together of something that's off-road and go anywhere, but is a bit of fun, and you take your family out in it. And so, you know, I had a long conversation with Jake, who's the MD of Twisted Marine, and we really, you know, we gelled on the idea that actually, in terms of taking their range a bit bigger, so not an Axopar, but something a bit bigger that's a bit more explorer. The Archipelago 47 is the natural boat to do that in, and so yeah, we're really excited about it. So it's essentially, you know, available now. At the moment, we're working with Twisted on what will be the sort of interior of the boat. Clearly, the exterior is it is the same Archipelago 47 aluminium structure, painted in a few pretty unique colorways.
The twisted gold, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? Yeah, so that's
my goodness, it ticks every box for me. So when I first saw it, I mean, I had a brilliant conversation with Twisted in episode. He was actually my first guest on this podcast in episode 1. So the background, you know, of the Twisted business model, I just loved. You know, Jake's ideas are brilliant. You know, Twisted Marine is a fantastic brand. So when I saw that they were working with you guys, you know, for a moment I just thought, this has made my life. This is brilliant, and I'm so excited. And the first images that I've seen as well just look insane. So, you know, it's going to be such an exciting sort of finished product. So when can we see that actually on the water, do you think?
Well, so that's a bit of a question, because we're at the moment in debate as to whether we sort of build one in advance, a bit like we did with the Archipelago 47, or whether we wait for someone to come along and order one.
Okay.
But, you know, I would hope, I hope it's a sort of somewhere between 12 and 18 months we can get one out on the water, because it'll be fantastic to see. And it will be, you know, that Twisted will do some re-engineering of the boat. So in terms of, it'll have bigger engines, slightly different engineering in the engine room. So it'll go faster. It'll be a higher performing boat. And with that, you know, insane colorway, or whichever colorway someone chooses to go with a really, you know, quite modern, funky interior, I think it's going to be an awesome boat.
It's going to be a showstopper. It's going to be amazing. So if somebody was to come along and buy the A47, so the T47s obviously can be, you know, quite customizable. How custom is the A47, you know, at the design stage? You know, how bespoke can somebody make it?
Certainly on the inside, very, very bespoke. So we're a relatively small company, and we want to offer people, I guess, a boat that suits them for what they want to do. So internally, we'll bespoke it as much as people want us to, really. So it can have, you know, 2 cabins, 1 in each hull, or it can have up to 4 cabins, 2 in each hull. And the saloon can be sort of configured as people wish. And that's based, you know, as long as it's not too extreme, that's included in the base price of the boat, that customization. And then, like I say, in terms of the T47, we're working with Twisted at the moment to come up with a couple of interiors that are, you know, a bit more exclusive in terms of fit out and how it looks, and a bit more of their sort of, they've got a particular sort of stitch pattern and things they use in leather and things like that. And so that's what we're working on at the moment with them. So we're also working on the base price of the T47. So that's not released as yet. Obviously it'll be a bit more expensive than the base A47. But I think, like you say, it'll be an absolute head turner and a showstopper. So can't wait to see it built.
Oh my goodness, I want one so much. Literally Holly in her dream world.
That would be a good bit of news. Just sign up for one now.
I know, just purchase it mid-podcast live on air.
Exactly, yeah.
If only that was possible. So what else is exciting?
Yeah, so there's a lot going on. So and it's related to what you said about customization. So actually, the first customers that we've got that have bought boats, in terms of
Okay.
customization, we've had long discussions with them about what's right for them for their boating needs. And actually,
Hmm.
what that's led us to is development of a couple of new models. So we've got the Archipelago 47, which is our sort of original Explorer yacht. We've now
Hmm.
got an Archipelago 40, which is in development, which
Oh,
I'm
okay.
really excited about. The reason I'm excited about that is that's the sort of size I'd probably buy for me
Is
and
that
my
your boat?
family.
Is that why? Is that why you're
Yeah,
so excited?
will be my boat. Yeah. So there's the Archipelago 40. All of these are the same, have the same, I guess, heritage, that offshore category A, go out, do anything, come back safely. So we've got the 40, we've got a 52 with a flybridge. So that's much more, although has the same offshore heritage, go anywhere, do anything, it's got that sort of more, I guess, Mediterranean feel about it, because it's got
Okay.
a fly bridge and that massive outdoor space on the roof.
Wow.
We've with Chartwell
I've
Marine,
changed. I've
we've
changed my
won.
mind. I want one of those.
Okay, fine.
Just pop it.
With
Pop it
Chartwell
over to
Marine,
me.
who are the naval architects, we've won an Innovate UK Smart Grant to produce the first long distance methanol powered boat. So that'll be a zero carbon, zero emission methanol vessel. And that's
Wow.
going to
I love
be
that.
a 63-foot vessel. Um, and then there is a very, very exciting project which we're currently working on for a customer, which will be an 80-foot extreme explorer, which will be
Wow.
able to take a helicopter on the roof. And so that's bonkers, but it's really, really exciting. And I can't wait to show that to the world, because that's going to be really exciting.
That is, but do you know what an amazing project to be working on? Do you know what I mean? And
Mm.
all, when you think, of all the jobs, of all the companies, of all the things you could do, and what you've just described, like amazing, isn't it? To think that you're spending your days designing and building, products that, that house a helicopter, that, that are that size, that are that luxury, that are that sort of out of this world. I mean, you must pinch yourself sometimes to think, is this actually my day job?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes it does
But,
come with its stress as well.
well, this is what I was going to say. So, I mean, it sounds incredible, but what's the worst thing? What's the worst thing about this? What do you think, is actually really, really hard at the moment?
Um, I think personally, there are probably there are two things that make it a bit difficult at the moment. One is um, there is a lot of uncertainty in the market, in the leisure, certainly in the leisure space, at this sort of price range. People are a
Mm,
bit worried about the economy, and you see it, especially in new brands. It may be affecting the bigger, well-known brands a bit less, but it's a hard economic situation. People are uncertain. The world is an uncertain, difficult place at the moment, and I think that does affect people's buying decisions.
mm,
And so that is a sort of constant worry in the back of my mind, that although we've got these fantastic new models, we've got buyers for them. It's difficult to persuade people to what I would call invest in a new brand, right? Because it's all about
mm.
the trust in the brand and what you're going to
Yeah.
produce for them. So that's probably one of the big worries. And then the second is uh, we don't we haven't traditionally, and we don't really invest a lot in shipbuilding in this country, and actually
Mm,
finding good space, good boat yards, good skills to
yeah.
actually build and grow a business is really difficult. Actually,
Yeah.
I want to, as much as possible, remain building these things on the Isle of Wight. That's where the first one was built. There's a hell of a lot of aluminium skills on the Isle of Wight, and shipbuilding skills. Finding space on the Isle of Wight is really hard, like really hard,
Mm,
because it's just um, the marine industry is busy at the moment, and so it's difficult to find the appropriate level of space to build these boats. So there's a chance that we have to build one or two of them abroad, for example, which is just a shame, because you want to keep it a British brand. You want to help the British economy as much as possible. But that's just a challenge that's hitting the industry at the moment.
Yeah, and you're not the first person to voice that to me, and you do want to keep British boat building at the top of its game, don't you? But it would be a shame if commercially the decisions have to be made to take you elsewhere, because you want to keep it on home turf, don't you? Using British boat builders, and and it is becoming increasingly difficult to do that. And right. I've got a bit more of a sort of an everyday insight into that, with my recruitment background, and the fact that the skill level is there in British boat builders and British engineering. It's just we're just losing it to other industries, because we seem to be a little bit below the curve on what we're offering them in the marine industry. So you're finding that that there's a sort of a talent migration over to sort of automotive, rail, unfortunately for the marine industry. And it's really something that I think we should be talking about more, and trying to counteract before it's too late. Because like you say, there is something, I don't know, is it nostalgia? I don't know, but there's just something about British boat building, and traditionally we've always been up there with one of the best in the world, and we want to keep it that way. We don't just want to be building with the same big British brands that have already been building. We want to establish new British brands, like yourself.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm massively passionate about training the next generation. Getting apprentices in and young people to get them into this industry and do that. But to do that requires investment, and it requires premises, and it requires things that are just not easy to come by in the UK. If you go out to France or Spain or Poland or whatever, they've got these massive facilities that are beautiful and funded well and all the rest of it, and it's very, very hard to come by that in the UK.
It's true. And it's not something we can do overnight. If we want to attract a whole generation of skilled boat builders, skilled engineers, we can't just decide to do that and then tomorrow we've attracted them. Do you know what I mean? It's a long drawn out process of education, awareness, like say facilities. So it needs to be, we need to never stop talking about it, I think. And not just talking, like making, actually making actions about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the vision? So when you started all of this, did you have something in mind that you thought, this is where I want to end up? And if so, what is that?
I mean, I guess it's a bit more day to day than that. Certainly at the moment, I want to grow the brand into a really successful British boat building brand, and I've sort of set myself a timescale of the next 5 years to do that, and we'll see where the business goes. We've now got our model portfolio. I don't plan on changing that now. We've got the 40, the 47, the 52, 63, and then hopefully the 80, and that gives us 5 really great models out there. So I'm a bit impatient. So all these things go slower than I want them to go. I'd like to have the models out there and built now. But I think what I want to do is build a really good, sustainable British company that trains young people, is a good employer. I care about that. I care about sort of being a good member of society. And if that can happen in the next, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever, then that's good. I can tick that box, and then work out whether, I keep pushing the company forward, or we try and sell it to someone who can make it even bigger. Who knows? That's the dream.
So the vibe there I get from that is sort of longevity and kind of legacy then. You didn't just want to build a few boats, sell them, make a profit and go live on your desert island.
No. I mean, now you say it sounds quite appealing, but no. It is more about, building a proper business, an established business that has longevity and is disrupting the market. Because I find it a bit frustrating that you go to boat shows and you look around you, and frankly, most of the boats look very similar than they did, when I was going to boat shows when I was 15 or whatever. And it's a bit of an issue with, GRP boat building, that a lot of the molds are just reused, potentially with some bigger windows and, a bit of different styling, but not much looks that different. And there's a bit of a move towards it now, but something that looks cool is changing the market, is doing something different. That's where I want to get to.
Yeah, and I see it more than most, because I do a lot of tours of boats and walkthroughs and announce a lot of launches, and sometimes it is hard to say, well, what can I say exciting about this boat that I didn't say last week about another one, so I know more than most that you're absolutely right. And there are certain boats that stick in my mind, and others that just disappear the second I've stepped off them, so I absolutely get what you're saying there. So do you have like a standout moment that you look back and you think, this is cool and this is why I've worked so hard, and I'm actually really proud of what we've achieved here?
I think getting the boat into the Southampton boat show was definitely that moment. The night before the boat show, you had all of the the production yachts. They were down there polishing their stainless steel and making them look beautiful. We had bench saws out on the pontoon and we're still putting the boat together. And I look back at videos of me. I did a couple of interviews at the Southampton boat show, and I looked knackered, and I felt knackered as well.
Stephen, I ran a nice low grade filter over our interview. It was fine. You looked great.
But that, we had about 1,000 people come on the boat over the course of the 10 or what was 9 days of the show, and almost without fail, people were really complimentary. There was some obviously, like you said, there were some people who were like, I'm not sure about this, and I don't like the helm seat and various other things. But to just take something from what was Genesis back in January 2021 to a 47-foot, fully functioning, beautiful looking boat in what was like 19 months or something. I definitely look back on that and think that was cool. That was an achievement to do that.
And there's no better feeling than that, is there?
No, that was cool. It is.
It's awesome.
I do. I'm like I say, I'm impatient, and I often think, come on, we need to move faster. We need to do more things. And my partner, she always says to me, just stop for a second and think about what you've actually done over the last 2 years or something. And I'm proud.
It is hard though, isn't it? When you've got a what next mentality. I'm a bit like that. I'm always like, what's next? And actually, there's so much value in just, even as it feels unnatural, just stopping and thinking, look at what we've done, look at where we are, and let's just appreciate that for a moment. And let's say well done to the team. It's really hard to just not keep going, what next? Yeah,
indeed.
So what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
It's difficult. I was thinking about this. I was trying to think of some sort of intellectual Greek philosophical quote or something, but I'm not sure it's that. I'm not sure it's that fundamental. My grandfather always used to be. He always used to say to me. He was from the West Country. Always used to say in a West Country accent. He'd say, "If a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well." And I think that has stuck with me actually. That I agree with him. If something's worth doing, you may as well do it well. Otherwise, there's no point. So I try to think like that.
That is, it seems such a sort of.
Apologies for my West Country accent for anyone who's from the West Country.
I enjoyed it. It's fine, but it's probably such a basic sort of level of advice. But actually, sometimes that's the best, isn't it? Because if you're going to do something anyway, you may as well do it to the best of your ability, rather than just do it for the sake of it or do it, with a half-hearted attitude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's valuable advice from your granddad, I think. Awesome. Well, Stephen, I am beyond excited for, seeing the T47 actually out on the water, seeing how it actually looks in real life. And I'm going to go away and have a look at this 80 model that you've mentioned as well, because that sounds out of this world. But thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And you can have the exclusive tour as soon as it's built. You can come on the 80. You can do the exclusive report.
Oh, that is amazing. And you do know you're recorded while you say this. You can't back out of this now. I can't wait for that. I'm even more excited now if that's possible. Awesome. I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, Ollie. Nice to speak to you.
I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, then it would be awesome if you could leave a rating or a review. Don't forget to subscribe so you can listen to us again. See you soon.